Hi, my name is Tina, and I am the person behind the Missing Irene LaRosa page. I started that in 2015 in hopes of finding my Aunt Irene. She went missing out of Ellington, Connecticut in 1971. Irene was never reported missing by any family members. It was just said that she kind of ran away. And even though I had several aunts looking for her, there's newspaper articles of them looking for her. They went out, they searched the streets for her. Nothing was ever heard from again. 1975 came around, and Susan LaRosa, my other aunt, went missing. She was a mother of three. She was 20 years old, out of Vernon, Connecticut. Her body was found 3 years later off of Reservoir Road in Vernon. Deborah Spiegler, she went missing out of Connecticut, 1969. Janice Pocket, Lisa White, they both went missing out of that same area. Now, a lot of people ask what's the coincidences of two people in one family going missing? What's the odds of that? Pretty slim. I had no idea when I started looking for my Aunt Irene that all of this would come about. Every time I asked a question, it was, well, what about this girl? And what about that girl? Never really getting straight answers on Irene. What happened to her? Who is she? Where did she go? What date was the last time you seen her? I could never get any answers. And I felt like Irene has always been being pushed aside. Not because people wanted to push her aside, because they didn't have any answers and they didn't have anything to share. So they would talk about other cases. When that happened, they opened up a whole book of things that nobody had ever really known. That all these cases were linked together. Now, there's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of videos speculating on what happened, who did it. And I'm not very concerned on the who. I'm concerned on the where. Where are they? I've spoken to several people in my family. I've spoken to a best friend of the families. And he said if those girls are anywhere, they would be here. He confesses to putting himself at the scene of 3 different crimes. Now, you would say, why wouldn't he be arrested? Why wouldn't he be talked to more? I'm not quite sure that myself. The police went up there, they spoke to him, and they left. I don't know where else to go from here. I've listened to all the podcasts, I've listened to all the videos, and I appreciate some of you, especially Mike Bouchard, who is leaving Irene's name in all of this. The people that are taking Irene's name out, shame on you. Irene was a person too. She deserves just as much care and his attention. And as I even say this comment, I'm looking over to my screen and looking at Connecticut cold cases or missing people's cases. Irene's not in there. She was reported in 2016. They have plenty of time to add Irene's name to all of this, and they don't. Clothes were found in 2016 and 17 up around the property. No DNA testing. I feel like these cases, they're going by the wayside, and I'm not quite sure why. We have some answers that we didn't have before, and yet we're still not getting anywhere. We need some help. We need people to come forward. We need people to talk to the police department. Say, test those clothes. Test the family's DNA that went in there. Let's test it against everything. Put it in the national database. There's not too many people that come out in this world and say, I think my family is involved in a lot of these cold cases. Nobody does that. So when you have that, you might want to listen. And they're not. They're treating me as if I'm the crazy person because I would like to resolve all this. I'm not quite sure where to go here. I just wanted to introduce myself, say why I'm doing all of this. I believe these girls deserve closure, and I believe if we know where they are, we should do everything we can in our power. I listened to a podcast where the person said, well, normally when people dig bodies, they only dig about 18 to 2 feet down. Hey, listen, if they had a water well to put bodies in and they didn't need to dig, and you know this, what are you talking about? And if somebody was going to dig to bury a body and they only dug 2 feet, you deserve to get caught. Okay? I mean, some of your comments are so outrageous. You lie to the police. You lie to your people. You say that you took a ground penetrating radar out there and you allowed it to go 2 feet when we're looking for wells. We're looking for waterways or something that is like a bunker down in the land off of Wendell and Pine in Ellington. And you take a ground penetrating radar to one land and say you solved these cases. There is something very, very special about you. And it's not just the fact that you don't know how to pull up your own pants. Okay? So before you keep on spewing that my uncle is a killer, you might actually want to look up which one. Because just by putting these puzzle pieces together and saying that Susan went missing, so it had to be Bob LaRosa that killed them, you don't have any proof. Even though we're telling you Nathan LaRosa was the most horrific person you have ever met in your whole entire life, you still want to pinpoint Bob. And it's fine. If you have facts, if you have things that you want to bring to our attention, do it. But you haven't. You lie. You say that you brought it to the police. You have not. You say the police don't want your evidence. That's not the case. Your evidence just has to be factual. I'm not even quite sure on what more to even say to you other than shame on you. Stop telling people you solved these cases. We have no bodies. We, the family, all we have is Susan's. And what if Bob didn't kill Susan? What if somebody else did? And I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying what if. I cannot tell you one way or the other. I was not born yet. But just accuse people and say because you found that to be true. Did you ever talk about the lie detector test Bob took? When he was asked 3 times, did you kill your wife? And he passed. He was also asked, do you know who killed your wife? And he failed 3 times. So that leads me to believe that no, he did not kill his wife, but yes, he knew who killed his wife. We're not saying that is right. As a family, we're not saying that. But we're saying is you can't pinpoint everything on him and say this was him without a shadow of a doubt and that you solved these cases when you've done nothing. You've done nothing but harm these cases. I gave you 95% of this information and you twisted it and turned it for your narrative. And all I can say is shame on you. Really poor taste. But anybody that would like to help us with these cold cases and actually come forward and speak the truth, who's going to hurt you? Who's going to say anything at this point? No one. No one. It takes a phone call. That's all it takes. And I'm just asking you, please, for the sake of those girls, make a phone call. Let them know what you know. I messaged somebody about Barry, And they said, oh, he had PSD from all of these girls. PSD? What? And he moved to Maine, and they never heard from him again. PSD from these girls because they went missing? Does that make any sense to you? And oh, just another little fact. I have all the paperwork, all the information. Anything that I've stated online or on video, I have factual proof too. If at any point in time you would like to bring it on, bring it on. And like I said, I'm not saying that I know for a fact on who. What I'm saying is I want to know where. I want the girls to be found. Most of the people that were involved in this are deceased. And I would like to know where they are.